So, even though they say you should never reveal your cards too early, there's been a lot of talk about what the Prime Minister will offer to try to break the impasse. And the key issue, as we've been hearing, is probably this: transition. What might a transition period look like immediately after the UK leaves the EU at the end of March 2019? Now, if the UK suggests a 2-year transition that replicates a lot of its current EU membership, that will give it more time to set up, among other things, new customs and immigration systems. Then it could continue making roughly the same net payments into the EU budget as it does now, a bit more than €10 billion, so about £9 billion per year after you've taken account of the British rebate and money the EU spends in the UK. Now, that would buy some goodwill, because the EU's long-term budget runs in 7-year cycles, and the current one lasts until the end of 2020. So a 2-year transition could take care of the net amount of around £18 billion that the UK has already agreed to pay. There'd be no immediate hole in the budget for others to fill. It makes money one of the better cards in the UK's hand, because the EU is relying on British cash at least for a couple of years after Brexit. But don't be fooled into thinking that that would be that. The rest of the EU wouldn't accept it as a final settlement, because they don't see paying to maintain our current role in the single market during a transition as the same thing as settling our past debts. And there are plenty of bills that the EU says the UK has to deal with. There's the UK share of money that's been formally committed but not yet paid, a bit like a credit card. At current exchange rates, the total outstanding bill is more than £210 billion, which makes the UK share more than £25 billion. Then there's the UK share of the EU pension pot. British civil servants have been working for EU institutions for more than 40 years. That's roughly another £8 billion, which the rest of Europe expects the UK to cover. And there's more. So even if Mrs May does make what might be seen in London as a generous offer to get talks moving, it won't be the end of the story. And it really is touch and go whether enough progress will have been made before an EU summit in October to allow those negotiations to move on, to consider the outline.
أنتم على الفعل العديد لخصامكم سمن وظيف كم غازين عود هزيل يا حرب يا حرب الدول يوم الجزيرة والعة فيها المعارف دالعة كل القبايل جامعة من فعل مرحبها الدول لا من حضرنا للنزال من الخصومة يا مجال ترجعنا الحق وبلاد يا حرب الدول السيوفنا وقت اللقاء ثروة من الحور العدا اللين يرضخ لأمرنا يا حرب الدول حرب الدول أنتم على الفعل العديد لخصامكم سمن وظيف كم
ما بي من جروح ما رحمتني ما خبر قلبي على الفرقة تجرى ولو ظروف الوقت عنه بعدتني حلف عن حبها القلب.
There's 120,000 private hire drivers in London, more than doubled that number has been in the last 5 years. All of those people are now facing unemployment and, worse than that, debt associated with commercial vehicle loans that they've taken out to go and work for Uber.
For its part, Uber denies all of the allegations made in the TfL